Welcome in. It's a quick, brief appetizer, if you will. Little chat. Evan's got a lot more coming up on Patriots Beat. We just didn't want to wait. Patriots Beat is at 4 o'clock, so jump back on here for in-depth analysis of the Josh McDaniels hire, the Patriots' next moves, and a whole bunch of other stuff that Evan and Alex will break down in full at 4. Take your comments, your questions, all that jazz. But Tom Brady officially retired, Evan. Today. And normally we wouldn't jump on here and do this because we did this already. We talked over the weekend for a long time after he retired. You had a little bit of a saga because he pulled it back, didn't want the news out there. We get it. He wanted to do it in his own terms. However, his own way and his own terms resulted in a controversy with whether or not Brady intended it this way. This is what we have now, which in a long 7-page Instagram slideshow, whatever you call it, Brady didn't mention the Patriots once. And so I get it. I'm guessing you're on the defensive Brady, leave it alone. It's not a big deal side. Other people feel differently. So I'll let you go first in terms of how you view Brady's intentional, calculated, accidental. I don't know how you put it.
The only thing that I hold against Tom Brady in this entire, whatever you want to call it, you call it a controversy, so we can go with that word, is he knows better, right? He knows, and his PR team knows, that if he doesn't mention the Patriots, that Patriots media and the Patriots fan base are going to come for him with the pitchforks and the torches and the whole nine. But the thing that I find the most frustrating about this entire thing is that after 20 years of winning, after 7 Super Bowl champions, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, the fact that he was football to many of us, we are sitting here on the day that he officially announces his retirement and talking about petty BS that he didn't mention you in your social media posts. I am so sorry, Patriots fans, that he didn't stroke your egos. He didn't pat you on the back. He didn't say, there. Good job, everybody. Thank you for everything. I am sorry that he didn't go there today with you, Patriots fans. I apologize. But instead of us sitting here and talking about 28-3 and talking about the 10-point comeback against Seattle and Super Bowl 49 and discussing all of the great moments of Tom Brady's Patriots career, we're talking about this nonsense. And a way I blame him for that, because he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He had to have known what he was doing. But I also blame petty Patriots fans that are so caught up, and us in the media that now make this a story and blow this out of proportion just to talk about it, instead of talking about Tom Brady's greatness. And it's driving me up an absolute wall that we are talking about this today in this vein. We should be celebrating the greatest quarterback of all time, and instead we are throwing fuel onto the fire and kicking him while he's on his way out because he didn't thank us, and he didn't thank the Patriots, and he didn't roll out the red carpet of how much he loved his time in New England. Give me an absolute break. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, fair enough. It's still here's what I think. I think it was inelegant and not intentional. If it was intentional, it was an FU. I believe it was inelegant in the sense of, I believe there's something coming for the Patriots down the road. And that's that. And so this is let me let Tampa have this. Let me let them have their moment and whatever's going on there. I retired from them. I'm still contractually obligated to play for that team. Maybe there's a money component in here. I don't know. It seemed inelegant at best. At worst, it was crafted. I also don't know what's to be lost. He's a smart guy. Anything that's going on right now, you can say, all right, Tom Brady, doesn't deserve this. And we should be talking about his retirement. He's smarter than that, right, Evan? He's better than that. Even if there is something planned for the Patriots, he's gonna come here and throw a party in 2 days, but he just didn't want to make it all about New England today. Fine. In fact, people are already saying he's IG storied something separate for Patriots now. So the controversy lasted like 2 hours. it was just the no mention drove people up a wall and created a real S storm. And now he's got something specifically to Patriots fans on his IG story. I don't know whether or not he has mentioned anything regarding Belichick yet.
That might have been damage control too. But my biggest,
and it also could be damage control. And
Yes.
that's kind of what I'm thinking here is, as we're assessing this in real time, Tom Brady to the Patriots and their fans, words cannot describe. Oh no, he said, "Thank you, Patriots Nation." It's just a small little thing, and it's on top of the Robert Kraft story. Beyond grateful and love you all. So yeah, maybe it's damage control, maybe it's not. It all comes back to Brady's smarter than that. He's done this a long time. All he had to do is at the end of it just put a little. Of course, I'd be remiss not to mention all of my time spent in New England and enormous gratitude to all those I left behind there.
The fact that we all need that
easy,
is just absolutely ridiculous after what this guy has done. We talked about this on Saturday when Schefter reported that he was officially retiring, and Jeff Darlington as well. I should mention him too. We talked about this on Saturday. Tom Brady made me a football fan. The reason why I do this for a living is because of Tom Brady in the early 2000s Patriots. That's what made me fall in love with football. That's what made me passionate about football. And I'm glad he's retired. Honestly, I'm glad he's done, because the last couple of years, from the media coverage of it, from the fan base, all of it has been absolutely insufferable. The fact that we have got to do all of this petty nonsense about his relationships behind the scenes with Bill Belichick and the Patriots organization, to social media posts where he doesn't mention the Patriots, to all of these other things that I've had to deal with over the last 2 years that have quite frankly ruined a lot of his legacy for me in the Patriots uniform. And now this becomes 110% a part of the story of the breakup, the divorce, how it went the last couple of seasons. Instead of us celebrating the greatest sports career in any professional sport, we're celebrating this. And we're talking about this, and we're amplifying this. And that, to me,
right. But again, that's fine.
So insufferable.
Yeah, but I honestly don't get the position of defending Brady. I think the correct emotion here, I'm not going to tell people how to feel. Some people are like, big friggin' deal, like you are. Some people are really upset about it. From mine is, it's dumb and petty. And honestly, you're above that. So it's not going to diminish any, as whatever I was, what portion of me was a fan when I was watching these Patriots and what portion of me was a journalist who was covering the team. It spanned my entire professional career. I've seen every single bit of it, and most of it with my own eyes. Okay. I've lived the Tom Brady experience from start to finish, covering him at his first training camp all the way to his retirement now.
Right.
Fine. I got it. I got the full Brady experience. It doesn't change any of that. Not the professional opportunity I was given, and not the enjoyment I got as a fan. It's still petty as F, and it's really small. And if he's got something that's grinding him a little bit about New England, I find that sad. That's about where I land on it. It doesn't change anything, but he made the conversation about this. This was dumb. It was dumb to not mention the Patriots in that thing, because you're inviting it. You're inviting this type. One throwaway line to the Patriots, sure, maybe someone would scrutinize, whoa, geez, not a lot of love for the Pats, but I get it. But zero mention at all, that's on you, dude. You wanted to craft this.
Okay, but what happens when he comes back?
He was the last thing I'll say. He wanted to control the narrative so much so that when the news leaked, he pushed back and obfuscated, and said, no decision has been made, when clearly it had been. So he was obsessed with controlling the narrative. This is part of controlling the narrative. If you want the story to be one way, told one way through your mouth, this is what you chose. This is the story you chose to tell. So then people can respond however they want. I'm not in the business of telling people you can be angry and you can't be angry. Personally, I think it's petty, small, and a bad miscalculation.
Okay, so when he comes back and he does his jersey retirement and they induct him into the Patriots Hall of Fame, and he goes up there and he sends, verbal bouquet after verbal bouquet to the fan base and to Robert Kraft and to Bill Belichick and his Patriots teammates and all the years in New England, just like he did, mind you, 2 years ago when he left the Patriots, just like he did in Man in the Arena on ESPN documentary, where he has said only nice things about the Patriots and said that he owes his career to Bill Belichick, and talked about how Bill Belichick taught him everything that he knows and mentored him and walked him through all these types of things. And all of these things happened. And because he didn't mention you in a social media post on the way out, we are going to drag him for it. I just,
Evan,
we're not worthy of the guy then.
Evan,
we're not worthy of the guy. He's done more than enough for this organization and for the fan base.
I tweeted this jokingly, Evan, but let's just say this, okay? Evan Lazar, Patriots reporter, one of the best out there, eventually wins a slew of awards, and he walks up onto the stage to accept them. Oh, and you don't thank mom and dad because, I thanked them at my graduation, and that's enough. I mean, what have they done for me lately, right? No, come on, 20 freaking years in New England. It's silly. It's silly.
It's silly that he didn't do it. It's also silly that we're losing our marbles over it.
We're not losing marbles. This becomes now the pushback of the people who say it's not a big deal and the people who are like, come on, dude. It's definitely the people who say it's not worth talking about and the people who say it's definitely worth talking about. Tom Brady did this. If he didn't want this to be the narrative, then he shouldn't have done it. He's invited this type of conversation. And I am not, like I said, I'm not one of the people who's enraged. How dare he? I'm just saying, wow, he made it a story. And this is what we do. We cover stories. A story today is, why did Tom Brady choose to not mention the Patriots instead of celebration 2.0 of Tom Brady's career, which is what we did on Saturday when the news he blew both of them. He blew both of them. He blew Saturday. He blew the first one when news leaked, not just saying, well, I was going to do it on my own terms, but now that it's out there, I'll just put it out there, and just obfuscated and dodged and ducked and sent his minions out there to create a narrative that it wasn't real and he hadn't made up his mind. That was dumb. And this is dumb. It's in both cases, he's messed up his own thing. He created a Tom Brady denies the retirement day, and now Tom Brady doesn't thank the Patriots day. And if he wanted it his way, he could have done it differently, but he messed up both of them. So it's on him for goofing it up. That's my angle on it. I'm not that offended. I just think he messed up his retirement twice.
I'm not that offended by any of it, to be honest with you. If Patriots fans want to feel what they want to feel about it. Yeah. Okay. But the problem that I have with it is that we are now going to sit here in a position where we're going to say, oh, we're going to tarnish the guy's legacy around these parts all over a social media.
We're not.
We're getting there. We're getting there. And over the last 2 years, we talked 110%. The conversation was about, why did he leave New England? And does he like Bill Belichick? And why does he hate the Patriots? And all these types of things. And like I said a couple minutes ago, I am glad it's over. I am glad he's retired. I'm glad we don't have to talk about this anymore. I am glad that it is over, because it has driven me up an absolute wall that people in this town have tried to drag mud through this guy's name around these parts and ruin the greatest run of professional sports that we will ever see, all because of things behind the scenes and things that you don't actually know about and things on social media and all these little things. And I really hope that one day we look back at this and recognize how silly all of this actually was. And I think that will come when he does have his moment in the sun at Gillette Stadium and they put number 12 up on the stanchion there, where all the other retired numbers are, and his name goes in the Patriots Hall of Fame and the statue is built outside of Gillette Stadium. I think all of those types of things, when that happens, we'll be able to turn the page from these last 2 years. But this has been what has turned into conversation around Brady since he left for Tampa Bay is gross. Well, frankly,
like I said, it's fine if he didn't do it to himself, and so he invites this. And at this point, are you telling me Bill Belichick didn't have a prepared statement ready to go for Tom Brady's retirement? Saw that retirement post and said, nope, not sending this out. The fact that we've yet to hear from his coach is odd, is it not? The fact that it took a while for Kraft to get his out, that should have been automatic send. Okay. You knew it was coming. That was written already. That's a immediate send. Patriots thank Tom Brady. No, an hour plus and just a Robert Kraft statement, which leads me to believe whatever they had planned, which would have been statements from a bunch of people, didn't go out, because there was some element there which is like, whoa, that's weird. Why did that happen? So I think they were caught off guard with it. Okay.
Fair enough.
And that's that. And I do believe that Tom Brady is doing some damage control, because I don't think he means to hurt the fans. I think it might be a slight zinger. I think he's still mad at the organization. It's hard to view it in any other way.
He did a 10-part documentary about the Patriots in the Patriot dynasty where he did not mention the words Tampa Bay or Bucs a single time. He did a 10-part documentary when he was still playing. He was still playing for another team, and he released a whole docuseries about the entire run in New England, all the way back to the Tuck rule and beyond, and people still... It's not enough for people. It's still not enough. And I think in a lot of ways, I blame ESPN because Man in the Arena has done terribly ratings-wise. Nobody's watched it. And that's, I think, a big part of the problem is that not a lot of people know what he said during that documentary, and know what he said during all of those things, and know what he said about Bill Belichick and the Patriots. And we're talking about all of this today, and that I wish we were talking about 28-3. I wish we were ranking Tom Brady's top 5 back, top 5 throws, best moments in a Patriots uniform, best moments in the NFL, talking about the fact that how improbable his entire career was to begin with, and instead we're talking about this.
And I feel we'd be doing
for it. I do blame him.
And I feel we'd be doing that if Tom Brady just put one line at the end of his retirement statement. But for some reason,
and that is exactly my point. That's how petty it all is that all you guys wanted was one little line at the bottom. Oh, and thank you, Patriots and Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick, and we all would have been able to go home happy. But instead, we are.
But he didn't, for a reason. He's doing a little damage control now. People are annoyed by it, Evan, and I think in some cases justifiably. As I said, to state my own opinion, I don't care beyond the fact that I think it was a bad miscalculation on his part and a petty last little dig at the organization for whatever rancor still exists because of how his exit went down. I can't really fathom another explanation for it, and that's disappointing. So I would say the only thing I would feel as someone who covered and watched the Patriots for years is it's a little disappointing that the guy who is basically the face of your franchise will be forever, most decorated athlete in the history of pro sports.
Say he loves you.
But no, not that. It's that he doesn't.
No.
Not that he didn't say it. It's that.
Stop it.
It's that there's something bugging. There's something bugging him enough that he is soured on something about here. For whatever, it's not like he hates Patriots fans, but something about Brady, something bugs him about the Patriots to the point that he felt like disrespecting the franchise on the way out. So yes, there's a lot of people who are Brady fans forever and Brady over the Patriots. There's a lot of just Patriots fans too with like, what's up, dude?
I just don't know how you can watch Man in the Arena, how you can watch his NFL 100 special with Bill Belichick.
Apparently no one did watch Man in the Arena.
Right. That's the problem. It's on Hulu. It's on ESPN. Go watch it. I don't know how you watch these things and then go back and say, oh, he doesn't love the Patriots. He doesn't love Patriots fans. It's not good enough for, all these types of things. Like I just said, he did a documentary that he released during the season while playing for another team about the Patriots. Like, that doesn't happen. He didn't wait till he retired to drop the documentary. He released it during the playing season, during the regular season, while he was still playing for Tampa Bay. He released this documentary. And all about 10, 11 parts about his entire Patriots career from start to finish and how great it all was, and all the verbal bouquets, all the nice things he could possibly say. He did a whole entire episode talking about how Bill Belichick mentored and groomed him and taught him how to study defense and how to watch games on tape and how to practice and how to play and how to compete and all these types of things, and how he groomed him to be who he is today.
I get it.
And then everybody comes out and says, oh, because he didn't mention him in an Instagram post, he must hate
I get it. But on his way out the door, he posts a picture of himself in a Bucs uniform in a game he played at Gillette Stadium. In a game he played at Gillette Stadium, and doesn't mention the Patriots. He knows what he's doing. He's walking it back some. So be it. I don't care. But like I said, I'm not in the business of telling people they should care. And so there's some people here that like it, that say, oh, I don't care and I'm fine with it. And there's other people who are pissed. That's the way it's going to go. And really, the only thing we're talking about is if Brady wanted to control the narrative as he did, he absolutely could have. That's it. He could have. He
Yeah.
chose not to.
Yeah.
He chose to go down this road.
I can't
and
deny
here's
that.
where
It
we
was a
are.
miscalculation. I'm not denying that. What I am saying to everybody, and what my whole take on this is that if you can decide now how you react to it, right? We can be upset about it, we can be petty about it, we can drag him, we can do all these types of things, or we can be adults about it, right? And we can recognize that Tom Brady is still Tom Brady to us, and let's not ruin it now. Let's not drag him now, and let's not ruin it now.
We're not doing it.
Because of a social media post. That's all I'm saying.
Tom Brady made a petty decision on how he chose to announce his retirement. Some fans are reacting to it. He had total control of this narrative if he wanted it. It is what it is. It is what it is. But the news is out now. It's done. I still got people from last night's Celtics coming in. The news is out. We talked ad nauseum about his career. Not much really changes here as far as the Patriots goes. We did say though, Evan, that, with some level of confidence, Tom Brady is now going to and this is what you wrote initially when it happened. Right. He's going to come back. He'll be part of it. Now that this is over, he can, whatever. I'm not 100% sure now. I'm really not. I'm
1,000% sure.
Certainly, I expect there to be a ceremony, and he's going to come back here and allow himself to be honored in some sort of retirement situation, I would think. But this idea that he's going to be part of the Patriots family moving forward, I'm not. As long as Bill is around, I'm not entirely sure. I think there's something clearly bugging him there with that, and that's too bad, because you would rather Tom retire, come on back here. This is what we both said. Oh, great. He's a Patriot again. This little Bucs blip on his career doesn't matter. This is who he is. 20 years, that's who he'll always be. He'll identify with the Patriots for the rest of his life. There's something still bugging him here. And it seems like it's Bill related more than anything else. And they're going to have to get past that in order for us to have a post-playing career sort of relationship with Tom Brady.
I'm glad it's over. I'm glad he's retired. I'm glad we don't have to talk about this anymore. We can talk about this in this video. We'll talk about it a little bit in Patriots Beat later. And then after today, I am not discussing the fact that Tom Brady didn't mention the Patriots in his social media posts upon his retirement ever again. And all we're talking about here on this channel is how great Tom Brady was, and how we're going to sit there and I'm going to be just like my dad and my grandfather who said, oh, well, back in my day, I used to watch Bill Russell and he's the greatest basketball player of all time. I'm going to say the same things about Tom Brady. I'm going to talk about Tom Brady in a positive light. If the rest of the media and the rest of the fans want to talk about him negatively because he didn't get mentioned in a social media post, then be my guest. But I'm not going there. And I'm glad that some people are with me. I know a lot of people aren't, but I'm glad that some people are with me.
I don't think anybody now hates Tom Brady. I think some people are like, oh, Tom, why? They're just a little bummed out.
I don't think people hate Tom Brady, but I think that a lot of people, especially in the media here in Boston, want to make this a gigantic story and try to drive up views and attention because of this tension between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the Patriots and all this type of thing, when it just is not accurate from everything that you see that goes on besides this one little social media post. And I just let's please, let's be bigger than this. We are better than this.
You know what? I also do think pretending it's nothing is irresponsible journalism. To pretend that it didn't happen and ignore it
out of proportion is also irresponsible.
Yes, but to pretend it didn't happen and ignore it and just say, I'm just going to pretend it didn't happen and I'm going to stay exactly thinking whatever I thought. It's another added wrinkle to the story. You can decide how big or not big a deal it is, but to just plow forward and say, I'm not talking about it just because I don't feel like it, doesn't make sense to me either. Nobody's sitting on this side of the table saying this is the worst thing that's ever happened and Tom Brady, you should burn your Tom Brady jerseys. I just don't understand the idea that how are people talking about it? People are talking about it because Tom Brady made this an issue himself. So Tom Brady is the reason this is being talked about. You guys get to feel however you feel. People are obviously all over the map on how they've decided to process the information. And no, I don't think anybody's wrong in it. I think on both sides, whatever you feel is what you feel. But I can say definitively this is Tom Brady's fault. And he could have easily avoided this. And I don't know why he invited it. That's all I'm saying.
It just stinks. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not mad that people are feel however you want to feel. What I'm mad about is that it stinks that this is what
it's annoying.
Today is
yes. It
Today is the
sucks
day
that
that
this
we
is
should
the
be
story.
celebrating his career and not talking about this, and instead this has become the story. And I'm not freeing Brady of blame for that. It is partially his fault that we are talking about it like this and that this is a story today. But I want to get back to a place as Patriots fans, as Patriots media, where Tom Brady is our guy again, where Tom Brady is nothing but positive vibes from Patriots nation. Let's call it a nation. I want to go back to the days where we reminisce about 28-3 and all the 6 Super Bowls and all the greatness that we saw, because we are never going to see anything like it again. And if these last 2 years, for older Patriots fans, they remember the pre-Brady days. For younger Patriots fans, if these last 2 years are not a message to all of you that we are not going to have that kind of success or even close to it ever again here in New England, enjoy it, bask in it, love it, do it all.
I'm with
Don't
you
waste your time with
again.
it.
I'm with you, and again, I say this comment is the best. Nobody is dragging him.
I
You say
disagree. I
you say
disagree that nobody is
you say
dragging
he's
him. I
partially to
disagree.
blame. I'm saying he's 1,000% to blame for anyone talking about it. If he didn't want to, he could have done it differently. I don't care. Like I said, I do not care which side of this you fall on. I'm not telling anybody what to think here. It is just very surprising that this is a thing, and it shouldn't be a thing, because we both agree on it didn't go the way he wanted for when it leaked, and then the day he actually released his retirement, he did something that guaranteed it wouldn't go the way he wanted that day too, unless of course he wanted this to be a story, in which case that would be doubly petty and really disappointing, because we'd rather be talking about Brady's greatness. I'd rather be talking about the possibility he returns and plays in a year, because that would be more interesting than talking about this. So we agree. This isn't the topic we wanted to talk about today, both you and I, regardless of where you fall on the situation. Yes. Again, Evan and Alex will have, I'm sure, a much briefer conversation on this later on. Where's Alex lie on this? Is he on your camp?
I think people are going to misconstrue my camp. I think people are going to think that I'm coming after Patriots. I think me and Alex are both on the same side of this, in the respect that we just want Tom Brady to be celebrated. We just want to talk about Tom Brady like the greatest quarterback of all time, and our quarterback, the Patriots quarterback for 20 years, and put us all into the best football run and sports run that we're ever going to see. And the fact that we're talking about this stuff is really sad and disappointing. That's what we want to talk about, I think, and not so much about all this drama and nonsense. That is the disappointing part. It's not that I'm telling people how to feel. It's not that I'm telling them that Tom Brady wasn't wrong for taking the Patriots out or not mentioning the Patriots in his retirement announcement. It's the fact that this is not what the story should be about. And I put blame on Brady for making this the story. But if you're going to whine and cry and get all in your feels about this, then leave it at the door, if you ask me. Like, don't come to the jersey retirement. Don't come to the statue unveiling. You don't deserve to come, honestly, because if that's what you're really resorting yourself to, and that's really what you're concerned about, is that he didn't have a throwaway line in his retirement announcement about you, then that's sad. It really is sad. And it's sad that we've become this. It's sad that we have brought in ourselves to this point.
And I'm telling you, if you're mad at Tom Brady, go ahead and be mad at Tom Brady. If you don't care, you also have a right not to care. But again, I wish Tom didn't do it, because again, we don't feel like doing it. We don't feel like talking about this. So again, Patriots beat is at 4. We have more stuff on CLNS Media throughout the day. Also, naturally going to talk about the Josh McDaniels situation. We'll see if there's any traction on the who's going to be an OC. Right now, I haven't heard a thing moving the needle in one direction or another, but Evan has a lot of top candidates that he thinks would be worthwhile. And they'll discuss some of those. What else are you guys going to talk about here?
Senior Bowl week down in
Mobile.
Yeah. The Patriots, 49 draft picks since 2008 from the Senior Bowl, 3.5 per season, including Kyle Duggar, Mac Jones, a lot of Senior Bowl guys recently for the Pats. So a big week down there for the scouting circuit in Mobile, and it'll be a lot of fun to discuss. Unfortunately, the coverage on NFL Network is no longer taking place today of the Senior Bowl because they're playing Tom Brady nonsense. So we won't get to see the practices, but they'll be on TV on Wednesday and Thursday, and then the game on Saturday.
It's official. Tom Brady has ruined everything today. He's ruined Evan's day in 100 different ways today. Okay.
Yeah,
you made him
100%.
talk about this and he hates it. And then you're denying him Senior Bowl coverage, which is not something you can do to a man like Evan Lazar. So again, thank you for hanging out. To recap the news, Brady retires, doesn't mention the Pats. Some people are mad. Some people say move on. This story will be over soon, we think. And we're hoping at some point. We're hoping at some point or another, the Patriots and Brady get together and announce things that are going to happen to celebrate his 20 seasons and 6 Super Bowl titles with the New England Patriots. Thanks for watching us on this quick hitter edition of Patriots Press Pass. We will